Hey, welcome back to Boss Talk 843 Reacts, the place where you're going to get the very best dang reaction every single dang time. And today we're going to be talking about U.S. politics. And it's going to show you a lot of the corruption, everything that's going on and has been going on. And a lot of us are just starting to wake up and open eyes and see. So I have some clips I want to show you guys, and I'll be right back at the end to give my opinion. So you guys don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that ding ding bell button for your boy so you get all the notifications when I drop new videos. So here we go.
And he said, "Dad, guess which is it? Is it NBA or NFL?" 36 have been accused of spousal abuse. 7 have been arrested for fraud. 19 have been accused of writing bad checks. 117 have directly or indirectly been bankrupted at least 2 businesses. 3 have done time for assault. 71, I repeat, 71 cannot get a credit card due to their bad credit. 14 have been arrested on drug-related charges. 8 have been arrested for shoplifting. 21 currently are defendants in lawsuits, and 84 have been arrested for drunk driving in the last year. How many of you think NBA? How many of you think NFL? Well, the answer is neither. It's the 435 members of the United States Congress.
%80 of the public think that your former president, Donald J. Trump, me, is being treated very unfairly for political reasons and due to the fact that he is leading in all of the polls. 80% of the people agree with that.
You know, Donald Trump, the entitlements that he's getting right now from the United States government, such as $1 million a year, which is supposed to be provided for him to go around speaking positivity for this country. But all he's been doing with the $1 million a year is going around stroking the flames of destruction for our country. Right now, Mr. Donald Trump talking about doing away with the Constitution of the United States. I say to you, if he do away with the Constitution of the United States, we, the American people of these United States, need to raise hell because Mr. Donald Trump is a punk-ass motherfucking coward. He did not go to Vietnam to fight those little small motherfucking VCs. He talked about he had bone spurs, and that stupid son of a bitch should have had ass spurs before he went and set up in that Oval Office behind that quote-unquote resolute desk, you motherfucker. And he come around talking about he want us to salute him and stand attention to him. I won't stand attention to him. You motherfuckers have degraded me for the last 4 years as an American. I'm just one goddamn inch short from filing a goddamn lawsuit against the whole goddamn National Republican Party because you can give me some better shit than this shit here other than Trump, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Bobbitt, and all them motherfuckers because you responsible for stacking this goddamn deck against us, the American people. That's the goddamn National Republican Party. You are the enemy of the people, Republicans. Republicans are the enemy of the people. The reason why your bridge is falling down on your ass because Gomar and them got all your money. The Republicans got your money in their ass. They ain't gonna put it on your bridges. They ain't gonna spend nothing on you. They don't give a damn if you live or die. That's the Republicans. Look at them right now. They ain't did shit for you in years. Republicans. And they at it still. They all about their own ass. If you don't put term limits on them motherfuckers in your Congress, they're gonna be like Lauren Bobbitt and that goddamn hoe, the green bitch. So the thing is them the motherfuckers you want running your shit. Then you let them continue to run your shit because they go around state to state talking that bullshit. Dangerous bullshit, fanning the fire of racism, fanning the fire of violence and shit. And guess who's getting beat down? The meat. The meat sitting there taking his ass whipping from those ignorant, stupid son of a bitches. And it needs to stop. We got to stand up and fight back. Our Congress people are criminals. Peace.
In 2006, Rod Blagojevich was re-elected as the governor of Illinois. Later in 2008, a senator from Illinois, Barack Obama, would be elected president of the United States. He would attempt to sell the seat to the highest bidder. In 2011, he would be convicted and sentenced to 14 years in prison. On March 15, 2012, he reported to prison at FCI Inglewood. FCI Inglewood is a low-security prison located southwest of Denver. The prison houses over 1,000 offenders with 256 staff supervising them. FCI Inglewood has a detention center for pretrial offenders and a prison camp for other low-level offenders. Spaced over 320 acres, it has 2 living units with open dorms and individual rooms. While at the prison, Blagojevich formed a band called the Jailhouse Rockers, named after the famous Elvis Presley song. On February 20th, 2020, President Trump commuted Blagojevich's sentence and he was released from prison. He served 8 years of his sentence.
Love in your heart. You should be so angry. Don't be so angry.
Those people should be putting love in their
Yes, they were. I didn't break a single law. I didn't break a single law.
God.
I didn't break a single law.
Nobody love in their heart.
Oh, a lot of people buy that.
The Anthony Weiner scandal in 2011 led to national headlines. Weiner was a member of the U.S. House of Representatives for New York's 9th District. He would get caught sending explicit messages to a number of women. Weiner would resign from Congress that same year. In 2013, he would run for mayor unsuccessfully. It would take a twist in 2016 when reports were published that he was sending explicit pictures to a 15-year-old girl. In 2017, he would be charged, convicted, and sentenced for transferring obscene material harmful to a minor. Weiner would report to Federal Medical Center Devens, or FMC Devens, in Ayer, Massachusetts on November 6, 2017 to serve a 21-month sentence. The Federal Bureau of Prisons reported that FMC Devens is one of 2 federal facilities that house sex offenders who agree to volunteer for high-intensity programming. Weiner was released from the prison on May 14, 2019 and will have lifelong registration due to his crime.
What is the Bohemian Grove? Well, it's a kind of summer camp for the powerful, an all-male gathering in great secrecy.
The gathering is packed with oil tycoons, politicians, business leaders, and foreign diplomats who all make the pilgrimage to this yearly Redwood campout. Presidents Nixon, Reagan, and George W. Bush all attended the Grove before they graced the Oval Office. Even media bigwigs are a staple, with the likes of the Hearst dynasty and Walter Cronkite, now replaced with Rupert Murdoch, along with CEOs from CNN and Fox, David Rockefeller, and Henry Kissinger.
I don't think there would be anybody of any importance in America who was missing from that list.
Your typical warmongers, George Bush Sr., Colin Powell, and your typical Republican establishment.
Even the idea for the Manhattan Project, which led to the creation of the atom bomb, came out of the Grove in 1942.
Reagan and Nixon talked at length in 1967 in the Grove to decide who would go first in Republican primaries.
That was a Bohemian Grove that I attended one time to time. The Easterners and the others had come there. But it is the most faggot goddamn thing you will hear that ever happened. I said, it's just a crowd. It's just terror. I mean, I have already shaken hands with everybody.
The Bohemian Club, as you say, the Bohemian Club, that's where all those rich Republicans go up and stand naked against redwood trees, right? I've never been to the Bohemian Club, but you ought to go. It'd be good for you. Get some fresh air.
Former presidents go, top-ranking generals and heads of state and bankers and famous artists. They go to this place and they do occult rituals. They perform occult rituals. Well, they're chanting crazy shit and they're putting hoods on and they're burning an effigy that's supposed to be a sacrificial person, but it's straw in a bundle. And they do
imagine them doing that?
They talk about the owl god Moloch. Okay, these are multimillionaires. Look at this. This is the hidden footage that John Ronson and Alex Jones got from Bohemian Grove in like the fucking late 90s.
Midsummer sets us free.
And if it wasn't for Alex releasing that video, I think most people would think that's nonsense. But when you see that...
For the last few years, I've had this sense that everything I learned as a kid about how America's government works is completely wrong. But I had no idea how bad things actually were until I saw this one graph. Researchers at Princeton University looked at more than 20 years worth of data to answer a pretty simple question. Does the government represent the people? Now, this is what they found. This axis here represents public support for any given idea. On the left at 0% are ideas that not a single American wants. On the right at 100% are ideas that everyone supports. This axis represents the likelihood of Congress passing a law that reflects any of these ideas, from a 0 to a 100% chance. On this graph, an ideal republic would look like this. If 50% of the public supports an idea, there's a 50% chance of it becoming law. If 80% of us support something, there's an 80% chance. You get the idea. Now, most Americans would probably agree that, with a few exceptions, we should be as close to this ideal as possible. Unfortunately, the way America actually works doesn't even come close. Take an idea that nobody supports, literally nobody, and it has about a 30% chance of becoming federal law. Now, take an incredibly popular idea, the most popular idea this country has ever seen, and there's also about a 30% chance of it becoming law. This means that the number of American voters for or against any idea has no impact on the likelihood that Congress will make it law. Put another way, and I'm just going to quote the Princeton study directly here, the preferences of the average American appear to have only a minuscule, near zero, statistically non-significant impact upon public policy. So if you've ever felt like your opinion doesn't matter and that the government doesn't really care what you think, well, you're right. But there's a catch. This flat line only accounts for the bottom 90% of income earners in America. Economic elites, business interests, people who can afford lobbyists, they get their own line. Look at how much closer their line is to the ideal. When they want something, the government is much more likely to do it. And when they don't, they have the power to completely block it from happening, no matter how much the rest of the country supports it. They get what they want, and guess who ends up paying for it? We pay for it with the most expensive healthcare in the world. We pay for it with a tax code that's a complete mess. We pay for it with internet that's slower and more expensive, with wasteful spending, a floundering education system, a catastrophic drug war, and 1 in 5 American children born into poverty. Almost every major issue we face as a nation can be traced back to this graph. How does this happen? Well, just follow the money.
You think when you vote, you get to pick your leaders, right? Wrong. Before you get to the ballot box, politicians have already picked you. In fact, if you voted against the politician who won, they can literally cut you out of the next election so you can't vote against them next time. It's a nefarious process called gerrymandering. When Americans vote for Congress, we vote in geographical groups called districts. Those districts elect politicians to send to Congress. Districts are supposed to be drawn so they accurately reflect how people vote across a state. So if a party has 50% of the vote, they should get about 50% of the representation. But here's what really happens. Once politicians get into power, they can redraw district lines to effectively guarantee their re-election and skew statewide representation, regardless of how the people vote. Sound like cheating? It is. In fact, because of gerrymandering, 84% of all congressional districts across America are uncompetitive. And none of Ohio's are competitive. Before the election even starts, we already know who's going to win. Ohio's a swing state. That means about half the voters support each political party, but one political party holds 75% of congressional seats. How is that possible? Well, if you live in Cleveland, for example, you might think you'd be voting with everyone who lives in the surrounding Cuyahoga County. But politicians have drawn these crazy district lines that stretch all the way from Worcester to Canton to Akron, so they can control which voters get to vote in your district. Gerrymandering is about political power, and both parties do it when they're in charge of drawing districts. And it means political insiders have more power than voters when it comes to who gets elected. The US is the only democracy in the world that allows it. Okay, we're a republic, but you get what I'm saying. But here's the good news. Voters can enact new laws to stop partisan gerrymandering. We can make it so both sides have to agree on how districts are drawn, taking the process out of the back rooms and putting it in the open. Bye-bye self-serving politicians. Hello, voice of the voters. Share this video to spread the word.
Have you ever wondered why our political system is so broken?
I'm going to be the bad guy, which I'm sure half the room would agree with anyway. And I want to get away with as much bad things as possible, ideally to enrich myself and advance my interest. I've enlisted all of you as my co-conspirators. So you're going to help me legally get away with all of this. On a campaign that is entirely funded by corporate political action committees. Is there anything that legally prevents me from doing that? No. Okay, so there's nothing stopping me from being entirely funded by corporate PACs, say from the fossil fuel industry, the healthcare industry, big pharma. I'm entirely 100% lobbyist PAC, and let's say I have some skeletons in my closet that I need to cover up so that I can get elected. Green light for hush money. I can do all sorts of terrible things. It's totally legal right now for me to pay people off, and that is considered speech. Use my special interest dark money funded campaign to pay off folks that I need to pay off and get elected. So now I'm elected, now I'm in, I've got the power to draft, lobby, and shape the laws that govern the United States of America. Any hard limit that I have in terms of what legislation I'm allowed to touch? Are there any limits on the laws that I can write?
There's no limit.
So there's none. So I can be totally funded by oil and gas. I can be totally funded by big pharma, come in, write big pharma laws, and there's no limits to that whatsoever.
That's right.
Next thing I want to do is get rich with as little work possible. That's really what I'm trying to do as the bad guy, right? So is there anything preventing me from holding stocks, say, in an oil or gas company, and then writing laws to deregulate that industry and cause, that could potentially cause the stock value to soar and accrue a lot of money in that time?
You could do that.
So I could do that. I could do that now with the way our current laws are set up. Yes?
Yes.
Okay, great. Is it possible that any elements of this story apply to our current government and our current public servants right now?
Yes.
Yes.
So we have a system that is fundamentally broken. We have these influences existing in this body, which means that these influences are here in this committee shaping the questions that are being asked of you all right now. Would you say that that's correct,
Yes.
Mr. Marabani or Mr. Schaub?
Yes.
Well, how would you like it if the FBI raided the Democrats who
Do it. Raid them, investigate them, charge them, lock them up. Most of Congress engages in insider trading on a regular basis. That's a fucking crime. Lock them up. See, that the difference between us and you is you only want the law to apply to the people you don't like. We want it to apply equally to everyone, like it's supposed to.
Back in the 1980s, 3 Superior Court judges were tried under the RICO Act, the first in California history. Now that's the Racketeering Act. I would like us to see us hold all of our California politicians guilty under the RICO Act. Okay, there you go. Then that way we just arrest them all, throw them all in jail, and then we'll get rid of our government, the legal process. Okay, all right, I'm out of ideas for the day, guys. Love you guys out there. Andrew Gay, change the conversation. I'll catch you guys next week.
No man has a right to lay a hand on a woman, no matter what she's wearing, what she does, who she is, unless it's in self-defense. Never. Never, never. By the way, if I were young, I don't tell me what. How are you doing, child? How old are you, 17? Oh, 6.
Spread your legs, you're gonna be frisk.
I like kids better than people.
Everyone knows I like kids better than people. Everyone knows I like kids better than people. I like kids better than people.
But no man even in that circumstance, has a right to touch her. No man has a right to touch her. Period. Period. Period.
And he said Negro children are like roaches. If they're allowed to integrate the schools, they will infest them and they will never be gotten out. Negro.
Who said that? Joe Biden said that?
Yeah, I heard it. Saw him. He said Negroes were animals and they turned the streets into jungles. And he and Senator Eastland had a plan where they could put all of these Negro animals in zoos. Now, we talk about the 94 crime bill. That wasn't shit. The 91 was bad. The
91.
87.
Help me to understand this, because I'm on a roll. 6 people died, mass shooting at a school in Tennessee, and this is what the representative says about Justin Pearson.
Just because you don't get your way and you grab a couple friends doesn't mean you can come to the well while we're conducting business in session. Just because you don't get your way, you can't come to the well, bring your friends, and throw a temper tantrum with an adolescent bullhorn. That's why you're standing there, because of that temper tantrum that day, for that yearning to have attention. That's what you wanted, but you're getting it now.
So a representative advocating for children, they can't speak for themselves, and adults, they can't speak for themselves because the House just wanted to go on with business as usual, is a child throwing a temper tantrum. Okay. But Justin handled this so eloquently after he was emasculated, degraded, belittled. He said everything but boy, shut up to him.
Elevating our voices for justice or change, a temper tantrum. But there's something in the decorum of this body that makes it okay to say that folks who are exercising their First Amendment rights to speak up for the hundreds of thousands of people collectively that we represent. There's something in the decorum of this body that says it's okay to call that a temper tantrum, to call people we disagree with on the issues, to say that all they want is attention. But I'll tell you what, I don't personally want attention. What I want is attention on the issue of gun violence. But instead, we're here with a resolution you put up talking about expelling me for advocating for ending gun violence in the state of Tennessee. I'd much rather be talking with you about legislation to protect Shelby County and to protect our communities than talking about why we don't deserve to have our representation lost because we came to the well of this house saying we've got to do something. That's what I would like to be doing. And so you brought attention or tried to bring attention to me, but I want to turn the attention to the people who will never be able to throw a temper tantrum for gun violence. You know, the Larry Thorns, the Catherine Cookses, the Mike Hills, the Cynthia Peaks, the Evelyn Decaus, the Haley Scruggs, the William Kennedys, who will never have a chance to throw what you call a temper tantrum for justice, for gun reform, for the ending of gun violence. They'll never have a chance because we haven't taken our oath seriously, because we don't take people who we disagree with seriously.
Is it possible that an American president has his campaign chairman arrested, that's Paul Manafort, and his deputy campaign chairman arrested, that's Rick Gates, and his campaign manager arrested, Steve Bannon, and his national security advisor arrested, that's Mike Flynn, and his personal lawyer arrested, that's Michael Cohen, and his longtime political advisor arrested, that's Roger Stone, and his campaign foreign policy advisor arrested, that's George Papadopoulos, and his inaugural chairman arrested, that's Tom Barrack, just arrested today, his inaugural vice chairman arrested, Elliot Broidy, his private company indicted, the Trump Organization. The chief financial officer of his private company arrested, Alan Weisselberg. His foundation/charity shut down as a fraud. That's the Trump Foundation. His quote-unquote school shut down after a fraud suit settlement, Trump University. And not to mention, during his one single term as president, not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 of his cabinet secretaries were referred for federal criminal prosecution. in one term. All 5 of those cases, all 5 Trump cabinet secretaries, it was the Trump Justice Department that refused to bring criminal charges despite those criminal referrals. But widen the lens a little bit. Meanwhile, the lawyers who brought the cases, brought the lawsuits that the former president wanted after the election to try to get the courts to somehow overthrow the election results and somehow keep him in office, those lawyers who were acting on his behalf are all facing court sanctions and potential disbarment in at least 4 different jurisdictions. His other personal lawyer, not the one who already went to prison, the other one has just had his law license suspended in both New York and in Washington, D.C. for his role in making those same false claims before the court. Oh, and he himself was impeached twice, that's a record, and he's personally facing a criminal investigation under Georgia state law for interfering with elections officials in that state. We're also awaiting a potential second round of indictments derived from these allegations of a years-long multi-million-dollar criminal tax fraud scheme that's already led to the indictment of his company that bears his name and its longtime CFO.
That's why you're standing there, because of that temper tantrum that day, for that yearning to have attention. That's what you wanted. Well, you're getting it now. So I just advise you, if you want to conduct business in this house, file a bill. Be recognized, stand there and present it, and pass it. All you got to do is pass the bill.
Representative Pearson.
Now, you all heard that. How many of you would want to be spoken to that way? How many of you would want to be spoken to that way? We're not talking about politics. We're not talking about even gun violence. How many of you would want to be spoken to that way? The reason that I believe the sponsor of this legislation, of this resolution, spoke that way is because he's comfortable doing it. Because there's a decorum that allows it. There's a decorum that allows you to belittle people. We didn't belittle nobody.
Could I put an amendment on that? It would include hanging by a tree also.
And whom are we hanging, Paul? Go on. I'm sure you had more to say. Be a bit more specific, dearest.
This is Senator Mark Warner, and he is ranked first in the Senate. First for what? He's the wealthiest senator in the United States. This is from 2018 when he was only worth $214 million. Most estimates now put him over $300 million today. He's also the senator who introduced Senate Bill 686 to ban TikTok. But you see, this ban just won't affect TikTok. It's also open to a ton of other technology. Networking, edge computing, cloud software, machine learning, mobile apps, AI software, even e-commerce services. You might wonder, how's he made so much money? Well, he was a venture capitalist. We can also see here on QuiverQuant that he invests in a lot of things. Mark Warner holds millions of dollars in stocks of media, telecommunications, and technology companies. We're not privy to everything that he owns, but in the past couple years, we've been able to see that he invests in cloud computing and mobile apps and software and solar, telecommunications, network devices, and e-commerce. Last year, Senator Mark Warner came out and said that he believes that Congress needs to stop day trading because there's clear conflicts. Yet this month, that same Senator Mark Warner introduced a bill that would undoubtedly give him financial benefit. I don't know why it's such a wild idea that lawmakers shouldn't be able to write laws that affect industries that they hold investments in. Politicians like Mark Warner are trying to trick us by feeding us propaganda, while they write legislation to make themselves richer. After watching this TikTok video, can you see why Mark Warner would want to ban TikTok? We currently have millions of Americans who are under deep financial stress right now, and yet at the same time, we have an ultra-wealthy senator who has increased his wealth by $100 million in the past couple years, telling us that TikTok is the problem.
Have y'all heard about this? A politician is being investigated over racist comments after allegedly saying all white men should have a black slave. Andrew Edwards, a county councilor and former magistrate in Pembrokeshire, Wales, is also accused of saying black people are of a lower class than white people during a clip that has emerged online. Here's the clip.
Nothing wrong with the skin colour at all. I think all white men should have a black man as a slave or a black woman as a slave. You know, it's nothing wrong with skin colour. It's just they're a lower class than us white people, you know.
Now, if you had trouble saying it, on the 16-second recording, a man can be heard saying, "Nothing wrong with the skin color at all. I think that all white men should have a black slave or black woman as a slave, you know? There's nothing wrong with the skin color. It's just that they're of a lower class than us white people." Now that you have heard the clip for yourself, what do you guys think should happen to him if this is found out to be true? I mean, you heard it. I heard it. This stuff is still happening. Did you know that this happened? I didn't know, but now you do. Follow for more.
Oklahoma officials, including the sheriff, jail administrator, and commissioners, are on tape talking about how frustrated they are that they can't just lynch black people like in the good old days. Imagine being a black person being investigated or arrested by that sheriff or one of his deputies, or being held at the jail by that jail administrator. When people of color are talking about having a distrust or a fear of the police, this is why. These officials were also frustrated by accurate reporting that they say portrayed them badly and talked about hiring hitmen to kill the reporters who wrote the stories. And I'm not anti-police by any means. There is a vital role for law enforcement in our community. This is a really good example, though, of just how ugly and pervasive a culture of hatred and racism can be in positions of power.
Okay, if you literally watch any video of mine, have it be this one. If you talk about politics, have opinions about politics, but you don't particularly pay attention to them, you have opinions, you name it, take this little refresher course for me. Side note, my hair girl went crazy. I know you're watching this, you went crazy. I'm just gonna do a really unbiased, factual video of where politics are at today. I feel like people don't realize how quickly things can change and what's actually going on in government today. So look. Tennessee House Bill 878 now allows officiators to discriminate on same-sex and interracial marriage. They can say no if you want to get married. Tennessee has one of the strictest abortion laws with no exceptions. And now if you perform an abortion outside of their jurisdiction of reasons that you can, which are very few, you can actually get a Class C felony. Arkansas House Bill 1410 actually loosens child labor laws and restrictions and has a point that even says 16-year-olds do not even need to verify their age for employment. South Carolina Bill S-240 introduced a bill that would execute women if they got an abortion. 21 South Carolina GOP lawmakers signed on to this bill. Arkansas Bill 1174 says that you can prosecute women who have abortions. It's so vague that it actually could include miscarriages. They define in the bill that it's from fertilization, so when the egg meets the sperm. And look at what they cross out of the bill. Take a look. Including an abortion performed to remove an ectopic pregnancy or other non-viable pregnancy where the embryo is not going to develop farther, or in a scenario deemed necessary to save the life or preserve the health of a woman. Florida Senate Bill 254 would allow the state to take temporary custody of children who receive gender-affirming care. If you don't know that gender-affirming care does not mean a sex change and that sex and gender are different, gender-affirming care could be something as simple as voice therapy, changing the pitch of your voice, having access to counselors that talk to you about your sexuality and how you're feeling, cutting your hair, not wearing nail polish, using pronouns. That's what people mean by gender-affirming care. West Virginia voted no on Bill HB 3018, which is basically establishing 18 as the age of consent for marriage. So forced marriages of children under 18 or children who decide to get married under 18, this bill would have stopped that. They voted no. Mississippi 1020 creates an unelected court system, meaning the Republican majority gets to appoint judges in the court system in Mississippi. Jackson, Mississippi, a predominantly black community, did not get to vote on who their own judges are. The Republican Party appoints this. This is racial oppression. This is a Jim Crow law. Go look up what that means. I don't want to be divisive and I don't want to argue about politics, but that is the reality of the Republican Party. Those have all been introduced by the Republican Party. So when you come to the argument about the left and say they're trying to take your guns and take your Second Amendment right, look at all of the rights that are being stripped on the right. The point is that it's time to stop fighting each other because this is crazy.
So apparently last night, Elon Musk got really, really mad at Anonymous and banned their main account. So they just fired up one of their other ones and posted this. This is Trump, who GOP supports. Anonymous OPGOP, Operation GOP. She was 13-year-old virgin. Trump went first, tied her up with nylons. Then Epstein complained, I should have been first. Trump went third and fourth, violently beating her. Charges dropped 5 days before the 2016 election. Family was threatened. So now, posting from Anon Ops United, they tweeted, I'm sure it's nothing that Donald Trump hired Acosta and Barr after making child grape charges magically disappear. Nothing to see here, MAGA. And in this meme, and here's the meme in question. 1, Barr's dad hired Jeff Epstein at Dalton. 2, Trump accused of graping children at Epstein's New York mansion. 3, Epstein's former employee corroborates the grapes. 4, Alex Acosta shuts down investigation into Epstein's multiple child grape charges. 5, Trump appoints Acosta labor secretary and Barr AG. And here's some of the information that was dropped. Here's actual flight logs and blown up so you can see it for yourself. Now, they weren't done. They went after Rafael Edward Cruz. It appears you feel Ted Cruz, anonymous OPGOP, are wanted for crimes against the people of Texas and the United States. F fascists. So all you got to do is go over to Twitter and you'll be able to find this information yourself. I mean, it's public information now. And we'll end with this anonymous tweet. Hashtag anonymous will not and cannot be censored. Hashtag OPGOP, moving full steam ahead. Anonymous worldwide united revolution against the system. So it appears that we are heavily into the fuck around and find out stage for the entire GQP.
Hey, welcome back, y'all. And I hope you guys enjoy those clips. And I want you guys to leave a comment, let me know what you guys think. And what's your opinion of America right now and when it comes to politics and these politicians right now. So make sure you guys drop a comment and let me know what you think. And I appreciate you guys for staying the whole way and enjoying the whole video. And this has been Boss Talk 843 Reacts, the place where you're going to get the best dang reaction every single dang time. So tune in for the next video and I'll see you guys later, all right?